One of the most common questions that I get asked in the gaming space is how to solo queue. Or should I more accurately say, the most common complaint that I see in the gaming space is regarding solo queue. But it's actually something that you can learn to be good at. And while yes, solo queue does add a lot more factors that you need to be aware of, and it does have a lot more randomness involved, it can all be adapted to. Mostly. So in this video, I'm going to try and show you exactly how to start winning your solo queue games. So there are two things that are absolutely necessary to do if you want to more or less win consistently in solo queue. First, you need to assess your team's skill level. Does it seem like they know what they're doing? Are they worse than you? As good as you? Maybe they're even better than you. If they tend to be better players, they usually will know what to do already, and the most important thing to do is just to focus on your own gameplay and communicate. If they're actually good and you play and communicate with them well, you're already set up for success. But what if it's a bad team? What do you do then? This is where you kind of need to determine whether to guide or bait your team or just do your own thing entirely. If they seem mechanically good, but just lack general game awareness, try to guide them and communicate or ping exactly what not to do. Take charge of the situation. But if they tend to lack mechanical skill, then it's usually better to not directly fight with them and instead sort of orbit around them and take fights near but not next to them. The unfortunate truth is that sometimes it's better to just bait a teammate who's bad so you can get some kills instead of sacrificing your utility and positioning to try and help them only for you both to die or even worse, get team wiped. The second pillar of solo queue consistency in the finals is being able to assess your team's playstyle and adapt to it. Once a game starts, I immediately figure out how my teammates play. Do they like to sit back and poke? Do they all in immediately? Do they do something else entirely? If you can figure out how they play, try to change your playstyle to fit that. So if I see my team has a lot of shotguns, I might also use a shotgun or an SMG and all in with them to improve our chances of winning, instead of picking light sniper and staying in the far back of the map because I'm too scared to play aggressively. So do try to play with your team unless the strategy keeps failing over and over again, in which case it's time to switch things up, just like I mentioned earlier. So these are all great in theory, but how do you actually apply these concepts into your games? To show you that, I've collected 3 different solo queue games, one of light, medium, and heavy, where I'll be going over my thought process to show exactly how to win and how I implement these techniques. So in this match, I'm in Horizon, and I'm going to play just like normal until I see someone. I reposition a little bit, but when I see 2 of them with a dome, I back off immediately because I notice my team isn't with me. From here, I'm going to do just a little bit of damage every once in a while, but I'm not going to try and take space without my team, as they seem to want to reset here. And because I stayed back, we get a really easy kill on this guy here, and eventually kill the team. So much of solo queue is just being aware of where your team is at all times, because a lot of times people won't come to you or tell you exactly what they're going to do, so you just have to be aware of them at all times, whether you like it or not. After we get that box deposited, we got another fight with Orange team coming up here, and I'm still kind of monitoring how my team likes to play. It seems that they like to deal damage from afar and then push in, which is good, so I play accordingly. Unfortunately, one of my teammates took a bad fight, but we can still salvage this. After I get the trade on this guy, my other teammate goes to trade the other 2 and win the fight. Even if one of your teammates makes a mistake, you can still usually take advantage of it and at least try to even out the fight. After this is the final fight around our box, which is a team of lights that aren't doing super well so far. My team is playing super passive here, which is fine, but I wanted to personally get aggressive. I probably would recommend staying at the vault in this situation, unless you are super confident like me here, but things work out. And because of this, we don't have to waste time fighting this team before we move on to the next box, which is going to help us with pacing. Now we are at a fight with multiple teams for the next box, and I push in with my team to try and get some kills. I reposition for a flank here and play off my team's positioning, and we eventually get a kill. After this, my job is just to deposit this box to make sure we don't get too bad of pacing. If it's ranked, you might want to play with your team a little bit more at this point, but if you are playing World Tour, you should always prioritize the box, as you don't have to worry about team wipes. At this point, I know my team likes to wait to deal damage and then push up, so I position myself slightly away. What I'm doing here is making space for my team so that when they want to push up, they can more effectively do so, because I'm putting pressure on the enemies and not letting them just collapse into the room for free. One of my teammates decides to push in alone and they die, but that's okay as long as I trade him and don't let his death be for nothing. Then we get numbers advantage, and all we have to do now is wait for the last player to make a mistake before we can win. It's at this point that a third party shows up, so the most important thing for me to do now is to regroup with my team and not get picked off immediately. I do end up dying eventually, but my team is nearby and trades me, and the only thing we have to do now is to make sure nobody steals the cash. After this, we've basically guaranteed we have won, and all we really are doing at this point is just looking to get some kills and maybe double the last cash out. Now, that was a good example of a solo game, but we all know it doesn't always go that smoothly. What if you have a team or teammates that don't quite play well with you? In this next game, it's my heavy player. He seems mechanically alright, but he's out of position a lot, and that ends up causing issues. Let me show you how to deal with that in my next game, where I'm going to be playing medium. So to start with, I take a bit of an aggressive approach and try to secure high ground before the other team, because I've played this game so much and I know this is a good spot to take. But nobody follows me, and instead, my team wants to take the 2v3 on equal ground, which is confusing and forces me to drop from height advantage. This immediately tells me that my team is likely not going to be following me, and my heavy in particular is probably going to take his own fights a lot, so I'll have to be more careful in the future. Now I'm going to take high ground after depositing our box, and I'm going to make sure that the heavy definitely knows this time to come and take height with me. But the light is kinda doing his own thing, which isn't quite optimal for this position in particular, so this puts us at a bit of a disadvantage. When the enemy team gateways on top of us, I'm forced to drop down and take cover because this is going to be a bad fight without the light, and I'm hoping the heavy will do the same, but he decides to fight a losing battle. So now both of my teammates have died in really poor positioning, and this all could have been avoided, but I'm still alive, which gives us the chance to do a reset. I managed to get a kill here, which puts us in a 2v2. And once again here, our heavy really should have coined in order to keep our momentum and make this a 3v2, and also to let me push on the opponents and capitalize on this, but for some reason he doesn't do that. So I'm forced to come and slow res him, which really isn't optimal, but I can make it work. From here, I'm going to look for kills while maintaining height advantage, and when I see my heavy go for the steal, I know immediately that they're going to drop it, so I'm ready to jump on top of the steal immediately once they do that. And I'm also ready to hop off the steal in case anyone approaches, but I managed to get it. In this next engagement, a team drops onto us and I get dealt a lot of damage, so I have to retreat. It's better to play my life here, especially when I have the defib. From here I can go and take out the enemies my light was fighting, and it should be easy work. Now we are at the next vault, and this whole time I'm just looking for good engagements and not forcing bad ones. So I know there's better positioning to take for this vault, so I ping for my team, and in particular my heavy, to come here a lot to make sure that he gets the idea. From this room we are safe from getting jumped, and I can easily demat or walk out to defend the cash out. While my team engages the enemy here, I make sure that I stay up on height, just in case anybody tries to steal, and then I drop down to engage once I know it's safe. Now we are at the next vault, and my light's gateway gets glitched, which means we are all super separated and about to get pushed. So I make sure that my heavy follows me before I rotate to this safer space, and because I did this, we are all able to take this fight together. I want my heavy to also hold this position with me right here because it's much better for his flamethrower, but he insists on going up onto the roof, so I go up here anyways just to make sure that he doesn't die alone. Fortunately, when a fight does end up happening, everyone rotates down to the first floor without getting jumped by purple, and we manage to win the game. And right before we get to the last example showcasing a light match, it'd be awesome if you subscribed, as the next channel goal is to get to 30,000 subscribers. So if you'd like to help me out with that, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. Alright, let's continue with the next example. And finally for the light game, I'm mixing it up for the last one and showing off a final round. You also might notice that I happen to get one of the same teammates from my heavy game, but now that I'm playing light, things are going to go a little bit differently. What I'm doing here to start off with is gathering information and finding a good spot to play from. Most heavies look to get aggressive, so I'm just going to stay back and assist them while they do their thing. I don't really have comms coming from either of them, so I'm going to stay sort of in between them, so I can rotate to either one if they take a fight, and when they do, I have the H+ infuser to heal them, which is super great for solo. From here, I'm more so just being a distraction for my heavies so that they can push in and allow us to win. After we deposit the box, I make my way up onto the roof here to challenge this other team. This is ideally the place you want to be on this map, but my team isn't here, so I'm going to go back. In this situation, even though playing on the roof would have been optimal, since my team isn't here, I'm going to let the enemy have it, as I can't risk my team pushing by themselves and dying, or me for that matter. From here, I'm going to play a small ways away from my team again, but never overexposing myself. The last thing you want as a solo queue light is to die, and you should try to play your own life more often than not. My team realizes this isn't a good fight to take and resets, and this allows me to get into a better position where we can easily win the fight. After that cash box, the enemy team has got us kinda pinned down here, but as the light, I have to wait for my heavies to make a move, not the other way around, so I'm going to sit back until I get an opportunity. So while this is sort of baiting your team just a little bit, I'm not intending for them to die, just for them to get enough pressure on them that I can flank and get a kill or two and then heal them up after. And now we are at the last box, and holding hospital is one of the most OP spots in this map. So as long as I keep my high ground like this, we should be good. The last guy we go against is a riot shield user, so I have to help my heavy here or else he might die. And once we deposit the box again, we get another fight, but the main goal here is not just to do damage, it's to stay alive, so I find a good place that allows me to play with my team, but also stay somewhat safe. I get into a bit of a risky fight with this other light, so I back off entirely, because if I die here, the riot shield player will probably kill my heavy, so I need to be alive in order for us to win. When in doubt, play your life. Once it's a 2v1, I can play aggressively, as my heavy will easily trade me out here. And for the last fight, all I have to do is stay on the roof here again, and it should be an easy win. And that concludes this video showcasing the many different ways that you can improve in solo queue. Now, you might still get those games where your teammates are just so bad that there's nothing you can do, or those games where the enemy team is just so good that there also isn't much you can do, but these matches are a minority for most players. And those majority of the games where you can actually do something, even if you don't initially realize it, this is where these concepts really come into play. Now, I would still recommend trying to find a team to play with, but as someone who also does a fair bit of solo queue, I can definitely tell you that it's not as hopeless as you might think. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.